Alright guys, so taking a closer look at this battery, there were a couple of things I wanted to address here. One, I continued to take off weight. Two, shortened the wires. Not so much for weight, but just for convenience and for not having them bump the rotors, as you saw. So, what I've done is taken off the stock wires, guy. And the reason I did that is because if I can find a piece, they were the tiniest little gauge wires you've ever seen. They were so small that my wire cutters didn't have the gauge to cut that. They were too tiny. These ones cut on the third one in. Okay? So you can see the gauge. So removing the smaller wires, they are a bottleneck, and they will prevent it from flowing as much power as it could. By putting thicker gauge wires up against the contacts, I now allow more flow of electricity. That's one thing. In addition, I've further lightened it by removing all of the glue gun glue that I had, and I'm not using any at all. In fact, I could do it bare just like this, but I'm not. I'm actually going to use a tiny bit of glue gun glue to hold this all together, just so it stays together. Another tiny little bit right here to hold these together, because once it sits in the helicopter, them being in the correct positions will count for a lot. So I have that all planned out, and I've cut them to length. It's really simple to do. So I'm basically going to glue them like this, and then I'm going to wrap it in electrical tape, and I'm just going to prepare that, and then I'll fly it again. Now, when I do that, I kind of wanted to show the difference, because these are higher gauge wires. These are actually smaller gauge wires, and they're different connectors. This sort of thing makes a difference, but they're both just straight pin connectors, and they're both nickel rather than being gold or anything really high end. But there is a difference in gauge of wire here. So I would actually be better off switching this connector with the heavier gauge of wire over to this guy. But I like this battery so much, and it works so perfect as a package, I'm not removing it. I'm just going to leave it. This one, I'm still modifying. So it was okay to do it in my brain, I guess. That being said, thicker gauge wire, and you will see more torque from this battery. I have not killed it from the last video. I just finished shooting it, and then I modified the battery as I indicated in that video. Sorry. And now I'm just going to do the glue gun thing and the electrical tape thing, but very, very lightly. Very, very lightly. And then just a tiny bit of glue gun glue to hold it to the aircraft so it's easy to remove. And the glue gun glue won't stay on the aircraft. It'll stay on the little tiny piece of tubing. In addition, I've cut that in half again. So now what's there is actually noticeably lighter in my hand. Okay, any noticeable amount of weight for you is a huge noticeable amount in the helicopter as far as the scale tiny little heli is concerned. It's still a little heavier than this package, but they're actually starting to feel more equal, and that is a good thing. Anyway, you'll see when I'm done, this will actually be a serviceable, usable battery, and we're there. Now that I've made these mods, and I'm going to show you what that's like in the next video, you'll see an improvement in performance. It won't be huge, but it is going to be a noticeable improvement. Keith out.